Heyo everybody, Haku here with a review on Fire Force episodes 15 through 24. I've already reviewed the first 14. I felt like that arc was a good place to stop off. Also, if you want to vote on what review is next, the public poll for next week's review is up now, and then I'm going to alternate back and forth doing a poll, and whichever wins will be what I review that week, or at least one thing I review that week. I'm going to be obviously doing a bunch of other videos, but for the public poll this week, Fire Force, the back half of Season 1, won that, and Legend of Korra won over on Patreon, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to separate these things and then alternate back and forth. One week I'll do public for anybody, then the next week Patreon. So if you want to vote on what comes next, it's public right now, and it will be every other week, or on Patreon on the weeks when it's not for everybody. But yeah, so since both were voted, I'm going to be reviewing this and Legend of Korra Book 1 this week, but either way, just wanted to get that out of the way as a bit of an intro. I have already watched both seasons of this. I haven't read any of the manga. Just giving you my basic rundown of my knowledge base of the series so far before I get into talking about it. So I mentioned this in my first review, but I thought that the series' weakest point was the first few episodes, 6 to 9 episodes, and after that it just became really incredible and really amazing. And between it and the Owl House, it was one of those two I would name is my favorite show that I watched in 2020. I'm not sure which of the two. They were both really, really good, but out of all the shows of any sort of type that I watched, those two were the best to me. So I thought it was incredible. I thought that this is where the series really takes off. I did like the Asakusa arc before this, but I don't know, it's just the Vulcan arc is really, really, really great. And then, and of course, if you haven't already watched, sorry, there's gonna be spoilers for what happens in these episodes in the review. I'm gonna go in depth on the story and everything. But yeah, and then we get the, what is it called, the Nether Arc, which was just incredible. So yeah, I thought this was all good. The production, everything that kind of carries over from my review of the first half of the season when it comes to production. It's still amazing visually. I think the direction is still a really incredible strength of Fire Force, where for most shows I don't even really notice it. It's just sort of whatever. But then when a show comes along and has particularly good direction that stands out, you really notice. And Fire Force is one of those shows where it stood out to me for just how well paced everything was, and some of the just different interesting shots they had. I think the direction is really, really great. The sound and music continued being amazing, especially the sound design in this show was just something different, really. The opening for the back half of the season is good. I don't think it's as good as the first opening. I don't think it's as good as either of season 2's either, because season 2's are both openings are really incredible. The ending is also good. I don't think it's as good as the first ending, but it's, better than the second season's 2 endings. Neither of those were particularly great. So as far as the story goes, we got 2 great arcs, like I mentioned, with a bit of a transition training arc in between them. So first off, we get sort of episodes, 15 through 17, where we have we have Victor joining, we've got Vulcan getting convinced to join through the Vulcan arc. All that's really, 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 really good. Iris throughout this was hilarious. I mentioned that she didn't really have much personality. She didn't really do much in the first half of the first season, but then once we got here, she's Iris has become one of my favorite characters from this, just being so funny throughout this arc and the Nether Arc, and then it carries on into season 2 of me really, really liking her character. She went from having no personality to being just one of my favorites. We got the Silburo stuff with Arthur, which was hilarious. There was a lot of really, really good stuff in the Vulcan arc. There was a lot of good emotional stuff too. It reminds me of a very shortened version of One Piece or something, where you're trying to get a new member to join the crew, only instead of 30 episodes we're doing it in 3. I I thought the show stuff from 15 through 17 was really, really good. The way that Shinra reacts to seeing him for the first time was so great. They managed to keep a really good air of mystery and strength about him, while also just making Shinra and Arthur seem cool. And then the Joker pull-up was raw. Joker showing up was just... I like flipped out the first time I watched episode 17, I think it was, when they're escaping and Joker just shows up. That is just one of the coolest scenes. Episode 18 was mostly training episode, learning the hand signs. And then episodes 19 through 23 was the Nether Arc. It was really good. We got to see, again, I love arcs in anime or manga where we just introduce a bad guy group and then go and fight them, and we have this big group and like everybody gets their own fights. It wasn't necessarily all 1v1s, but everybody got a fight. And I don't know, I just love that. It reminds me of, I don't know, old school shonen and stuff, like what made me fall in love with this kind of series. So yeah, it was incredible. I loved all the fights. Iris, again, the best when she just, like, I know the series tries to give the win to Tamaki because of the distraction, but Iris just clubbing Assault was one of, like, the greatest scenes in the entire series. I was losing it. It was so, so good. Maki and Hinawa are both really awesome. I love both of their characters. I have from like the first episode or two, I've loved both of them. So seeing each of them get their own fight in a different way was really cool. Having Hinawa in this like really tough life or death struggle, and having Maki just get to show off by crushing Flail, it was really, really good. We actually get to see Obi and Vulcan get some shine, which is something that's really rare, especially for Obi, so I really like that. And the show fight was amazing. It was really good on an emotional standpoint, really good on a character development standpoint, and just gorgeous animation-wise. So it was good in every way. And then toward the end of this arc, we get introduced to Haume, and also the 6th at the end when Shinra needs to go to the Special Fireboy Hospital. So then finally, the finale, we get Shinra versus Burns, and we get the truth from Burns' perspective, and that's really, really good. Again, I'm not going to like explain the entirety of the story. I feel like that's not the best way to do one of these reviews, but I don't know. I liked getting to know the truth here. It was really good. And, you know, it was honestly something, they could have saved that for the premiere of the second season. That would have been great, too. But either way, all of that was good. We learned the truth about Shinra's mom, that she's probably MILF Infernal. So, or, well, not probably, she is. She's an Infernal now. So now the goal is not just to save Sho, but to find a way to turn Infernals back into normal people. Find a way to save them, to save his mom, which I think is, again, really cool, because how do you turn them back? Is that even remotely possible? So I really, really like that idea, and it shows, like, when he fought Sho, when he saw the Infernal in Adola or whatever, and then we learned that that was his mom. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I really liked that. So yeah, that was the story. The production, again, there wasn't much to say about that. Now, I'll go through and talk about the characters now. Not every single character, but I always like to give the characters their own sort of segment of these reviews, just because to me, characters and relationships between characters are the most important thing with me to love a series. It's one of my favorite things. So going through some of the characters, Shinra's really good, actually. I do think he's slightly generic as a protagonist, but I really, really like him because he's just a good boy. I appreciate him. Obi, I'm glad that Obi got a fight here. He's very underused in the series. I think he's a really, really good character, but he basically never does anything. To be the captain and everything. Hinawa, again, great. I love him. One of my favorites. Again, didn't do too much, but was still good. Maki, again, is underused in my opinion because she is best girl. She is the greatest. I'm glad she at least got a fight, though. That's at least something. Iris is hilarious, and between the button-pushing stuff and all of the adorable stuff in the Vulcan arc to the just amazing stuff during the Nether arc, I came to really, really love Iris as a character. I think she's hilarious. She is one of my favorite characters when it comes to comic relief. Arthur continued to be really funny and really enjoyable, but at least for season 1, there's not really a ton of depth to him yet. Not that, like, he's just the deepest character in the world after season 2, but still, we hadn't really gotten to more development for him yet. But he's an enjoyable, funny character. Kotatsu, I thought that she was nearly unbearable in the first half of the season, but the back half she's much, much better, and she only continues to be better because I feel like as the series went along, like comparing the back half of season 1 to the front half, comparing season 2 to that, like she not only gets progressively less annoying, but she gets more likable. They do better at writing the Lucky Letcher stuff. They do better at writing her character. I just feel like she was written really poorly. The Lucky Letcher stuff was really not well utilized at first. Like, it was really, really annoying at first, but I think they did a much, much better job with her as the series progressed. So a lot of people still hate her, but no, I don't really mind her at this point. Victor, I love. He's fun and mysterious. I actually really like his character. I like the voice actor and everything. Vulcan is a really good addition to the cast. I like him as well. Lisa, good. We need to see more. She hasn't really done too much. I mean, I like her story and all, but I mean, I just haven't seen that much from her. Same with you. For Burns, it's kind of the same for me. A lot of people really like him. I don't know. To me, I'm very, very on Burns as a character. I don't know. I don't know what it is about him, but he's just kind of whatever to me. Kareem Flam, still one of my favorites. Still one of my absolute favorite characters. Hibana, still pretty good. We didn't get to see much of her in the back half of this season, but she continued to be a pretty good character. We got introduced to Kyoku Huang. Not much time yet, and I don't really care that much about her, honestly. Asako Haig, or Hog, I don't remember how they were pronouncing their name. Super cute, doesn't really do all that much, but super cute. I still like her. Benimaru, still awesome. Everybody loves Benimaru. Konro is still one of my favorites. I love Konro. Hinata and Hikage I love as well. They're really, really funny and cute to me. Sho, I think as a character himself, Sho is a bit dull, but I like how he complements Shinra's growth and development. And then Joker, just so hype, so great, so amazing, and he's not even like at his best yet in the series by this point. So, yeah, I guess those are my thoughts on all the characters and stuff too. Kind of a quick review, didn't expect it to go by this quick. But yeah, I loved the back half of the season. As I mentioned in the first review, I thought the first like 6 to 9 episodes started off kind of There were like good parts, there were bad parts, and because of that, I had more to talk about. I feel like when I have things to criticize, like, it's easier to like talk more in depth about, because it's like, oh, they could have done this better, they could have changed this. But like, once we get to the back half of the season, it's like, I can talk about what I loved and why I loved it, but I don't have much criticism or much that I would say I would change or anything. I really genuinely think the back half of season 1 and all of season 2, I think some people didn't like all of season 2, but I loved everything like episode 10 onward. I thought was just amazing. Like I said, it's tied maybe-ish for my favorite show that I watched in 2020. So yeah, that's it for the back half of season 1's review, I will do Season 2 Part 1 and Part 2 whenever it gets voted on. I just have a huge list of things, and I'm throwing 5 of those things in the poll this week, and whatever wins I'm covering, because that's the easiest way to get to all the bazillion things I want to talk about. So yeah, I loved it. I hope you did too, and I hope you enjoyed the video on it. So like if you did like the video, comment down there. Tell me what you thought of this series, the back half of the season, what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. Fire Force, much more on the channel. When Season 3 comes around, I'll obviously be watching. I might read the manga, I don't know. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, ask and I can give you a link. It's free and open for anyone. And if you want to help support the channel on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. And like I said, voting every other week will be Patreon only for what I review. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and I'll see you all next time.